Look, I know how this sounds. I know what you're probably thinking, what everyone I used to know is thinking. Sarah, you're a monster. You threw away something perfect. You deserve everything you got, and maybe you're right. A little. But what if the perfect thing wasn't perfect for me? What if being suffocated by someone's unconditional, unwavering, utterly predictable love feels less like a warm embrace and more like a weighted blanket you can't quite shrug off, even when you're screaming for air? My name is Sarah, I'm 30, and yeah, I screwed up. Big time. But I wasn't trying to screw up. I was just trying to breathe. Mark and we were together for 10 years.
10.
Since freshman year of college. He was the golden boy, you know? The kind your parents immediately adore, the one who brings your mom flowers on her birthday without you even asking, the one who remembers your exact coffee order even after you've changed it 3 times. He was stable, reliable,
Kind.
so kind it was almost saccharine. He was everyone's dream guy. My friends adored him, my family worshipped him. He was the picture of a good, solid man. Everyone said I was so lucky, and I believed them for a long time. I really did. He loved me with a fierce, unwavering devotion that, looking back, might have been the very thing that pushed me away. He was like a constant, gentle hum in the background of my life. Always there, always predictable, always good. But sometimes, when everything is always good, you start to wonder what it would be like if it were just a little bit bad, a little bit chaotic, a little bit surprising. Our life together became a meticulously planned schedule. Friday night was date night, always. Same restaurant, same booth, same conversation topics. Saturday mornings were for the farmer's market, followed by a quiet afternoon reading side by side. Sunday was meal prep day, meticulously portioning out our lunches for the week, discussing our goals, our shared future, our perfectly aligned dreams. He'd hold my hand while we watched a movie, tracing patterns on my knuckles, and I'd feel this strange, cold dread settling in my stomach. This was it? This was forever? This quiet, comfortable, utterly passionless existence? He never challenged me, never pushed me, never made me feel anything but safe. And safety, I learned, can be its own kind of prison. He was so attentive, so thoughtful, that sometimes I felt like I was living under a microscope, every need anticipated, every desire met before I even knew I had it. It felt less like being loved and more like being managed, like a precious, fragile item. And what's wrong with wanting to feel a little less fragile, a little more alive? Then Jax walked into my life. He was a new designer at my agency, and from the moment I saw him, it was like a jolt of electricity. He was everything Mark wasn't. Chaotic, intense, with eyes that saw right through the carefully constructed facade I presented to the world. He played guitar in a grungy indie band, wore ripped jeans to work, and had this cynical, razor-sharp wit that made me laugh until my stomach hurt. He was dangerous, and I suddenly realized how desperately I craved danger. He was the opposite of everything I knew, and he pulsed with a raw, unpredictable energy that felt like a lifeline. He wasn't quiet and gentle. He was loud and vibrant, challenging every assumption I had about myself and my life. He actually argued with me, in a good way, making me think, making me feel things I hadn't felt in years. He saw the restless, unfulfilled part of me, the part I'd kept hidden even from myself, and he validated it. It started innocently, of course. Lunches that stretched longer than they should have, coffee breaks that turned into hours of intense conversation. He'd ask me about my dreams, not just the shared ones Mark and I had carefully cultivated, but the wild, forgotten ones, the ones that scared me a little. He'd make me feel like I was the most fascinating person he'd ever met. And I soaked it up, every drop of that intoxicating attention. I started dressing differently for work, feeling a lightness in my step I hadn't felt in years. The first time he touched my hand, a casual brush as he reached for a sugar packet, a tremor went through me. It was a jolt, a spark, a tiny, forbidden thrill that tasted sweeter than anything I'd ever experienced. I knew even then that it was wrong, but it felt so incredibly, impossibly right. That's the funny thing about feeling alive, isn't it? Sometimes it means you have to step over a few boundaries, just to see what's on the other side. The lies started small. Working late, grabbing drinks with Chloe, my best friend, who was unknowingly becoming my alibi, my shield. Mark would call, so trusting, so innocent. "Oh, don't work too hard, honey. Can I bring you dinner?" And I'd feel a pang of guilt, a tiny flicker, quickly extinguished by the thrill of the deception. The thrill was a drug, a potent elixir that made me feel powerful, clever, seen. My phone became an extension of my nervous system, constantly checked, constantly hidden. Every text from Jax, every late-night call, was a secret whispered only to me, a private world where I was witty and spontaneous and desirable, not just Mark's perfectly stable girlfriend. I convinced myself that Mark's trust was a sign of his cluelessness, not his devotion. He was so secure in our relationship, so sure of my fidelity, that he wouldn't even think to question me. And what was I supposed to do? Sit him down and say, "Hey, honey, your unwavering faith in me is making me feel like a caged bird, so I'm going to go explore the wild"? Come on. That's not how these things work. I was deeply, completely, irretrievably in love with Jax. That's what I told myself. It wasn't a passing fancy, a momentary lapse in judgment. It was real. It was raw. It was everything I had been missing, everything I had secretly craved. Mark was the safe harbor, but Jax was the open ocean, vast and thrilling and terrifying. I convinced myself that the 10 years with Mark, the life we had built, was the lie. It was a comfortable lie, a socially acceptable lie, but a lie nonetheless, a gilded cage. This thing with Jax, this burning, all-consuming passion, this was my truth. This was me, finally, authentically myself. I was ready to blow up my entire life for it. I started spending nights at Jax's apartment, inventing elaborate stories for Mark. "Chloe's going through a rough patch. She needs me. Work emergency. Had to pull an all-nighter at the office. Mark, bless his innocent heart, would bring me coffee and a bagel in the morning, his eyes full of concern, never suspicion. He was so good, so unconditionally good, and I was twisting his goodness into a weapon against him. But I was so lost in the fantasy, so high on the adrenaline of the forbidden, that I couldn't see the gaping chasm I was digging beneath my own feet. I was choosing myself, I told myself. I was choosing my happiness. That has to count for something, right? The night everything imploded, I was at Jax's. We just had this intense, soul-bearing conversation, or so I thought, about our future, our shared destiny. He looked at me with those dark, mesmerizing eyes, and he said, "Sarah, you're something else. I've never met anyone like you, and I thought this is it. This is real. This is my new beginning." I finally pulled the trigger. I called Mark, my voice shaking, but not from regret, from a strange mix of exhilaration and something I told myself was courage. I rambled about feeling suffocated, about needing to find myself, about how he was too good for me, how I was holding him back. I even used the word controlling for his concern, for the way he wanted to know where I was, what I was doing when I'd be home. Can you believe that? I called him controlling. And then I hung up. I just hung up. I didn't wait for his response. I didn't listen to his broken voice. I just cut him off, clean, surgical, and then I turned to Jax, ready to embrace my new, exciting life. But the second I turned, Jax's face had changed. The intense gaze was gone, replaced by something distant, almost annoyed. Whoa, Sarah," he said, pulling away from me. "What was that? You just ended things." I nodded, beaming, like I'd just won an Olympic medal for emotional cruelty. "Yeah. I told you I was going to. It's a new beginning, right?" He ran a hand through his perpetually messy hair, a nervous gesture. "Look, Sarah. You're amazing. Seriously. But I thought this was just, fun. A thing. I'm not really looking for anything serious right now. My band is taking off. I'm busy. I'm still figuring out my own SH. I just got out of a really messy situation myself, remember?" My stomach dropped. It felt like I'd been kicked hard in the gut. The world, which had just moments ago been vibrant and full of possibility, suddenly became a drab, gray, mocking landscape. What? But you said we talked about. My voice trailed off, pathetic and small. He gave me a sympathetic, yet utterly detached smile. Yeah, we talked. It was great. But I'm not your knight in shining armor, Sarah. This isn't a rom-com. I told you I wasn't ready for anything real. And now you've done this. To your boyfriend, he said boyfriend with a slight, almost imperceptible curl of his lip, like Mark was an anachronism. My perfect new beginning evaporated, replaced by the bitter, metallic taste of profound humiliation. I was stranded. Completely, utterly stranded. I went back to our apartment, my apartment, I guess, now, expecting Mark to be there, devastated, maybe begging, certainly waiting. He wasn't. The apartment was pristine, almost sterile. His side of the closet was empty. His toothbrush was gone. The photo of us from our trip to Italy, the one that always sat on the bedside table, was gone. Even his spare key, which he always left under the doormat, was gone. I called his phone. Straight to voicemail. I called his work. Mark is no longer with the company, ma'am. No. That couldn't be right. He loved that job. I called Chloe, my unwitting accomplice. She answered, but her voice was tight, cold. He knows, Sarah. He knows everything. He knew for a while. He wasn't stupid, Sarah. He just loved you. He was collecting evidence. My blood ran cold. Evidence? What evidence? Then I got a text. Not from Mark's usual number, but from an unfamiliar one. It was a PDF. A detailed, meticulously organized PDF. Text message logs, time-stamped photos of me and Jax at the cafe, outside Jax's apartment, even a few blurry screenshots from a security camera at a bar where Jax and I had danced a little too close. Location data from his phone, which he must have tracked through some shared app. It was all there. Every lie, every secret meeting, every stolen moment. He hadn't been clueless, he'd been methodical. He'd been patient. And then, finally, another message from the same unfamiliar number. Don't contact me. Don't contact my family. Don't contact my friends. You made your choice. I made mine. It was Mark. And his choice was to be gone. Completely, irrevocably gone. He didn't scream. He didn't plead. He didn't even cry. He just vanished, taking all traces of himself and all the oxygen with him. The next day, Jax blocked my number, deleted me from all social media. His band started playing bigger gigs, and he didn't want the drama. Just like that, the future I'd so carelessly thrown everything away for disintegrated. The silence that followed was deafening. My own friends, the ones who had loved Mark as much as they loved me, started to distance themselves. Chloe, after that one phone call, slowly faded away, too. She said she couldn't reconcile what I'd done with the person she thought I was. Mark's family, who had treated me like their own daughter for a decade, became a formidable wall. I tried to call Evelyn, Mark's mom, sweet, gentle Evelyn, who always baked my favorite cookies. She picked up, her voice like ice. Sarah, don't you dare call this number again. You broke my son's heart. You took his kindness and you stomped all over it. You are dead to us. Do you understand? Dead. The venom in her voice was like nothing I'd ever heard. It echoed in my empty apartment, where every single object now seemed to mock me. My entire social circle, the one built around Mark and our shared life, evaporated. I was isolated, adrift, in a way I'd never imagined possible. I tried to reach out just once more. A pathetic, rambling email to Mark, a desperate plea for understanding, for a chance to explain, to apologize. I never got a reply. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. My life became a monotonous cycle of work, lonely evenings, and scrolling through social media, a morbid curiosity guiding my thumb. And then I saw it, a picture on his sister's Instagram. Mark. He looked different. Lighter. His hair was a little longer, his smile wider, more genuine. He was standing next to a woman, a beautiful woman with bright, laughing eyes, and her arm was looped through his. The caption was something about a wonderful weekend trip to the coast, and in the comments, his mom had written, "So happy for you too, sweethearts." He was flourishing. He was thriving. Without me. My heart twisted with a bitter, ugly envy. How could he be so happy? How could he move on so fast? He was supposed to be broken, devastated, alone. Not radiant. My own life, in contrast, was a stagnant pond. The excitement I'd chased had been a fleeting mirage, leaving me with nothing but the dust of my own poor choices. My apartment felt too big, too empty. My days blurred into each other. I'd try to go out, to meet new people, but the stories always came out, pieces of my past that I couldn't quite hide, and people would recoil. The judgment was palpable, a constant hum in the background of every conversation. I remember one particularly brutal evening. I ran into Evelyn at a grocery store. She saw me. Her eyes hardened, but she didn't look away. Instead, she walked right up to me. "You know, Sarah," she said, her voice quiet but piercing. "Mark loved you so much. He saw a light in you that no one else did, and he nurtured it. He gave you everything. And you repaid him with contempt, with lies, with betrayal. You didn't just break his heart. You broke his trust in people. He's recovered now, thank God. He found someone who cherishes him, who doesn't need to destroy him to feel alive. And you? You're still chasing that empty thrill, aren't you? Still alone. Still wondering why no one wants you. Maybe you should look in the mirror, Sarah. Maybe you'll find the answer there." She turned and walked away, leaving me standing amidst the brightly lit aisles, feeling utterly exposed and hollow. And then the ultimate blow. A few months ago, another Instagram post. Mark on one knee holding a ring. The beautiful woman, tears streaming down her face, nodding. An engagement. They're getting married. They're starting a family. The life I so casually tossed aside, the one I convinced myself was a lie, was now being built, brick by beautiful brick, with someone else. Someone who actually deserved him. And I'm still here. Still 30. Still alone. Still scrolling through social media, watching the lives I could have had unfold, just out of reach. Do I regret it? That's the question, isn't it? The easy answer is yes. Of course, I regret it. I regret the loneliness, the isolation, the profound emptiness that followed. I regret the public humiliation, the loss of my friends, the coldness of a family I once considered my own. I regret the bitter taste of Jax's abandonment, the pathetic way I clung to a fantasy. But do I regret wanting more? Do I regret needing to feel something different, something vibrant, something that wasn't just a comfortable, predictable hum? That's harder. Part of me, the part that's still reeling from the shock of losing everything, screams, yes. God, yes. I regret everything. But another, deeper, more stubborn part of me, the one that tells the story, still whispers, he couldn't handle me. He wasn't enough. I needed to break free. I told myself I was choosing myself, choosing my happiness, choosing authenticity. It was just a different kind of authenticity than I expected. And now I'm here, alone with my choices, wondering if a life lived authentically but in complete solitude is really living at all. What do you think?